Good evening, and thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about the candidates running for office to represent you. My name is Kim Gammond, and I am the Executive Director for the City Club of Central Oregon. If you'd like more information about this candidate forum or any of our other forums, please visit us at cityclubco.org. We are a passionately nonpartisan organization that is here to inform the voters through these forums. All candidates were invited to participate in this forum and given instructions about guidelines and codes of conduct. At City Club, our mission is to build a conscious and civic-minded community that results in responsible civic engagement. We do this through community forums, utilizing the tools of civility to promote productive and safe conversation. You can learn more at cityclubco.org.
Hi, I'm Brooke Snavely from Central Oregon Daily News. It is my pleasure to be moderator for the 2022 Jefferson County Commission Position 2 Forum. And today we have Sabria Rios, the challenger, and incumbent Kelly Simmelink. Now in this race, if one candidate gets over 50% of the vote, that person will be elected. If no candidate hits the 50% mark, the top two candidates will face off against each other in the November general. So we'll commence with 1 minute opening statements, 90-second responses from each candidate to predetermined questions, and then 2-minute closing remarks from each candidate. The order of responses will be random, and I will call on the candidates. So Sabria, let's start with you and your opening remarks.
I'm Sabria Rios, and I was born and raised in Jefferson County. I graduated from Madras High School in 2008, and I have 2 children, both ages 10 and 6 years old, and they attend Culver Elementary School, where I'm part of the Culver School Board and have been for the last year. Overall, why I wanted to run for this position is I think that we need change at a county level. We need more safe and efficient roadways for the county. I'd like to take a look at the mandatory growth rule for the county. I'd also like to see our mental health resources increase for our county. And I would like to see more community involvement for the citizens at a county level.
Okay. Kelly, go ahead with your opening remarks.
Well, thank you, Brooke, and thank you to City Club and Connect Central Oregon for hosting this forum today. Happy Cinco de Mayo, by the way. My name is Kelly Simelink. I am currently the Jefferson County Commissioner in position number 2. I was born and raised in Jefferson County as well. I have a beautiful wife of 24 years, 3 wonderful children. I've been a businessman in business for myself since 1992. I moved back to Madras after I finished college and a career in Portland, or in the Portland area of about 18 years. I moved back to Madras in 2005 and operate a company doing promotional products. It has been my biggest pleasure, probably the most impactful thing I've ever done besides my wife and children in serving the constituents of Jefferson County. I love this job, and I see that our time is up.
Okay, well, but stay there, Kelly, because our first question is for you. If you were in this position during the height of the COVID-19 response and restrictions, looking back at that, would you have done things differently, or do you have any hindsight as to what happened through that period?
Tell you, that was the most trying time ever. And it's one of those things that really reminds you of what this position means. You represent 25,000 people in this county, basically. And the COVID was very much a split response. What I advocated for at the state level was local control. I have the best public health folks, I really do. And, when these mandates came out, we tried everything. And there will be folks that tell you you can do resolutions and ordinances, but none of them preempt state law or federal law. And, realistically, all we could do was try to get, I'll give you some examples of things that I think we did right. We returned all the environmental health fees to all of our businesses that were affected by closures. I specifically worked with Lisa Simelink from Oregon Parks and Rec to get our lake back open so that folks could go out and recreate. And, so were there things that I wish I could do differently? Sure. I mean, we can look back on our entire lives and go, hey, I wish I would have done something differently. But, advocating for that local control, which we had you couldn't get a court to hear your case. And we watched from afar as 3 counties did try and were unsuccessful at it. So again, it was a trying time, but I served as chair proudly and I don't regret anything.
Very good. Sabria, same question for you. If you'd been elected in this position during the height of the COVID-19 situation, response restrictions, what might have you have done?
I would have liked to see our health department utilize a more broader range of tools to help our citizens. I think that the citizens would have benefited not only from things like the social distancing and when the vaccine did come out for citizens. I would have liked to see our health department focus on nutrition and healthy lifestyles for our citizens. I think that was something that we lacked as a county. There wasn't much focus on, hey, here's how to optimize your nutrition, or here's some things that you should be doing health-wise, like getting your body moving, that kind of thing. I think that those overall would have helped our citizens stay healthy during the pandemic and to create more holistic approach to the wellness during the pandemic. I would have liked to see our health department really step up in that sense of trying to create more nutrition options and creating healthier lifestyles for our citizens.
Very good. So still to you, Sabria, what can the county do to improve traffic safety in Jefferson County?
I think that one of the main things that we can do is to, instead of what we've been doing recently, which is closing access to different roadways within the county, I think that we need to push for funds from ODOT for things like turns off and on the highway. We need to push for a center line, center median down the highway, all the way from Warm Springs to the High Bridge in Terrebonne. Our county is one of the most heavily trafficked areas in Central Oregon. A lot of people go from Portland to Bend to Sun River and vice versa. A lot of people use our county when they're going from Bend and other areas down south over to Eastern Oregon into the Dalles and Pendleton, places like that. It's a high trafficked area. And I think that we need to make sure that those dollars are coming here. And if they're not, and ODOT's not going to give us that funding, I think that we need to look into taking it a step further and possibly creating a toll road for the system, for the roadways. If we're not going to get the dollars by them granting us the funds, then maybe we should look into creating a toll for those who are just passing through our county.
Very good. Kelly, similarly, same question. What would you do? What can the county do to improve traffic safety?
Well, there's several different ways to look at it. I think Sabria touched on one, which is pushing ODOT to put some attention down here in Jefferson County. I'm not going to throw Deschutes County under the bus, but it seems like every day you turn around, there's a new roundabout or something going on. One of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make was to close Bear Drive and Eureka up here in our area. I know it affects the citizens that live in that area. I grew up on a very dangerous corner on Highway 361, which is the Culver Highway and Bear Drive. I don't know how many folks have died in my dad's arms. Just a bad intersection. In understanding what ODOT can and can't do, they don't want turns going across traffic. So I guess the best way to put it, the simplest way to put it, is we've got to get attention down here. And I think in the next biennium at the state and the federal level, you're going to see a lot of attention put on. I mean, we're seriously in need of a 4-lane highway between here and Redmond. That's just the bottom line. That's going to cost millions and millions and probably billions of dollars. Another factor that we need to look at is our bridges. We've got 33 bridges in this county. 15 of them are posted for weight. 3 of them are dangerous, poor condition. So obviously we're working that angle. We've got some grants coming. We're going to get a couple of those addressed, but we got some folks out at 3 Rivers that got suspension bridges that distinctly need help, because that's the only way in and only way out. The other thing is more patrol through our sheriff's office. And ODOT has given us some grants to make some of that happen in a better way.
Kelly, how can Jefferson County help reduce wildfire risk in your community?
Well, there are programs out there. If you look at Camp Sherman, for instance, Crooked River Ranch is probably one of the biggest deals. There are programs out there to help mitigate that. Cohesive Strategy, which I sit on that committee as my role as the commissioner. We're in drought conditions. Everybody's got to be aware. I mean, I don't know how to put it any simpler than that. And we've got to make our visitors to this area. I just cringe thinking about folks that are camping out at our state parks, recreating. When we talk about places like Three Rivers, the community of Three Rivers, they get folks that come in here transient, but they may own property, etc. Are they cognitively thinking about the way they handle their campfires and so on and so forth? So there is no easy answer. I think we got to get out of this drought first and foremost. That's the best I can give you on that. It's just making people aware of our surrounding, and it's a tinderbox around here. It really is. But
good. Sabria, same question. What can Jefferson County do to help reduce wildfire risk?
I think one of the first things that we do is we start to eradicate the juniper trees that have just taken over in our county. And not just in our county, but in Central Oregon as a whole. The juniper tree has progressively gotten more and more invasive over the years. With the juniper trees taking up 40 plus gallons of water per day, that is as much as they can intake per day. It puts a hardship on the landscape. It takes away from our natural grasses that we have. It takes away from food for the local animals, deer, wildlife. If we were to able to help to eradicate some of those juniper trees, it would make a huge difference on not just the drought that we're in, because our land would be able to use the water that's actually coming into the county in a proper way, which right now it's not being able to. It's just taking up that water, and it's causing soil erosion and making it more dangerous for wildfires when they do come in, because junipers burn they're one of the hottest trees when it's burned. So I think that the first step would be to start looking at getting rid of a vast majority of the juniper trees that are here in the county.
Okay. So Sabria, stay with us. How about a question for you about what the county might be able to do to help with workforce housing issues?
So it's been something I've been looking into since the commissioner forum. We had a citizen, Andrea, who asked that question, and it's something that I've been looking into. And I think that one of the short-term ways that we can help with that problem is not only allowing RVs and trailers to be legally parked on properties. We can also look into partnering with our local hotels that have vacant rooms and trying to see if we can move some of these families that are in, a single household, but they have multiple families living underneath the same roof. Look into seeing if we can partner with the local hotels and seeing if we can get them a, more affordable deal for housing for a short term, while we look into more long-term things by developing fiscally responsible developments in the county.
Okay. Kelly, how about you on that very same issue, workforce housing? How can the county help that situation?
Well, I think she touched on one that I brought to the attention of folks a while back. We are in desperate need of some camping short-term, I guess you'd call it short-term permanent, if you will, in which, we still have a job to do at the county, which is to code enforce. And a lot of folks are being moved off of properties that are living in RVs, and we get that. And, very, I feel a deep pain in my chest, at least, about where do we displace these people, because not only are we hurting them personally, we're hurting our industries that are expecting those folks to be at work and without a good place to call home, if you will. It's no good for anybody. So that is a big issue that we're currently working on with the city and some of our businesses as well. The other way to look at it is right now we're at the top of the market. And I was here when this thing all crashed back in 2008. I luckily was able to sell my home in Washington and get moved down here and buy an affordable home. Affordable homes don't exist right now, and you can't expect the private sector to come in here and save us. But we have a lot of homes coming on the market here, apartments, things we have not had in the past. And so I mean, we want to run down there and put out the fire, but it's not going to be an easy task, that's for sure.
Stay with me. Kelly, here's a question about transparency at the county government level, as well as the ability for residents to participate. Do you think there is transparency and ability to participate?
Absolutely. And some of the things that we've done in the last 2 years, and obviously COVID was a big, I guess you could say a plus sign in some cases. We currently, or now, run all of our commission meetings, much like Deschutes, on a Granicus system, meaning that anyone can participate via Zoom. They can go back and watch the recordings of our meetings. If you want to look at our agenda and you're interested in item 5.6 on our action items, you can go back and listen specifically to 5.6. What we do as a county commission, and they've done this for years, we do once a year at Camp Sherman, where we go out and meet with them at 6 o'clock. We do it twice a year in Crooked River Ranch. We have started doing that for Metolius and Culver. In fact, we just had one at Metolius earlier this week. And those are wonderful opportunities for our constituents to come out and engage with us. As far as transparency, everything's on the record, and you have every opportunity to see it. I do agree that I would love that we didn't have to have our meetings at Wednesday while people are at work. But we also have staff that we count on to help us in the decisions that we have to make, and to work with the folks that are doing the hard work. And people are able to give a public comment every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., the first, second, and fourth Wednesday. And if they want to be here, they're more than welcome. But they have an ability to watch it after the fact as well.
Very good. Sabria, same question for you. Do you think there's enough transparency in the local government and ability by residents to participate?
No, I do not. I think that we need to do better as a county in getting communication open to the citizens. I think one of the ways that we can do that is in any issue that does come to the county commissioners, since we are technically representatives of our citizens. We're supposed to be a voice for the citizens. I think that we should be bringing those issues to the citizens, whether that's via email, text message, opening it up for public comment on the county website, posting that this is the issue or the concern that's been brought to the commissioners. If you'd like to leave a comment outside of the Zoom meetings, here's where you can do so, making it more accessible for folks to leave comments and to have their input heard at a county level, I think is very important. And I think that with the technology advances that we've had, especially over the last 2 years with COVID and adding the Zoom meetings and things like that, I think that it would be great for the citizens to have that option to receive letters in the mail if something big is coming up, to have emails sent out to them, text messages. We have a text message emergency response system. And I would like to see something like that utilized for folks to be able to have an input, and whether it's just a quick little survey, something that they can leave comments on, something like that. So that way we get a more well-rounded approach. Because as Kelly said, that the meetings are at 9 o'clock in the mornings on Wednesdays. And I think that it is a hardship for some people to, whether they need to watch it later or whether they need to attend, it is a hardship for them to do that.
Sabria, Jefferson County is facing drought for, I think, a third year. How can the county help manage and support those impacted by this crisis?
I think that we as a county can continue to utilize dollars that we're getting from the federal government. We did get the grant funds to help with folks' water bill this last year for North Unit. And I think that continuing to find dollars from the federal government to help people in the crisis right now currently is first and foremost. Second, I think that we need to take a look at the county home rule for Oregon. It was implemented in 1955 for a reason, and it allows counties to have control over anything that's considered a county matter. And I think that the water is a county matter. And if we were to get it on the ballot in November and pass it by the citizens, we'd be able to create ordinances that are equal to state statutes that are in place at the state level. So I think that if we were able to do something like that and create an ordinance where we were able to get the water back for the farmers and ranchers, it would be something that we should definitely look into. I also think that with that, taking the water from the farmers for the spotted frog, we need to look at a whole rounded approach to that, and not just taking the water away so the spotted frog can thrive when there's bullfrogs that are eating the spotted frogs and we're not doing anything about the bullfrogs.
Okay, Kelly, same question. What can the county do to help ease this drought to your local constituents?
Thank you, Brooke. Well, I'll tell you what we have done, and that is work with our federal and our state legislators to get dollars on the ground. Those dollars can't come fast enough either. And I say that, I see that in everything that happens at this state. Good intentions, but it takes too long to get it on the ground and into people's pockets. We were able to get roughly 17 million here in this past session. But several of the things to really focus in on what needs to be done. We need short-term solutions, long-term solutions. Some of the short-term solutions are the great conservancy that these folks are already doing up here in this basin. Making our federal legislators understand that some of these programs that they put out, we don't have the matching money to implement them in a lot of cases. And the cost of inflation now has driven up those prices, while the programs that have the money available to them are still using the same ratios. Some of the other short-term solutions is we need to dig into water law. And I hate saying that, but that is the honest to God truth. We have got to work with our state legislators and our Deschutes Basin of Control and all the other irrigation districts in this in Central Oregon here to come up with some solutions that would alter a little bit of water law. We're not changing water law. We don't want anybody to lose their rights, but North Unit and it needs water, and there are folks that are willing to participate. The long term is the Lake Billy Chinook program, which pumping out of Lake Billy Chinook, which is a long ways down the path.
Okay, Kelly, is Jefferson County a welcoming community?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I hope so. Born and raised here, and so as I've grown up around here, folks that move here, it takes them a few years to get accommodated. And I used to have folks tell me that, man, this place is it's just different. I think it's very welcoming, and I'm out in the community a tremendous amount. I'm very accessible, and when I talk to new folks, I get the gist from hearing from them that they feel like it's a very welcoming community. But I don't wear their shoes, so I don't know. That's the best way to put it. I think we put our best foot forward. I know when I held Solar Fest here back in 2017, for months and months and months, I received emails and phone calls and the such thanking us for how welcoming our community was. And I hope that that's the impression, and that's what I try to prove to our folks around the state, that Jefferson County is a special place and with special people.
So bring the same question for you. Is Jefferson County a welcoming community?
I believe it is. I've lived here my whole life, and I think that overall, since I feel like maybe even the past 10 to 15 years, we've really done a great job at a community level of increasing ways for people to be involved in the community and increasing our access to different things that are happening in the community. I know that Joe Krenowicz at the Chamber has done a really great job of allowing people to see what's happening in the community and to have a place where people can go who are new to the community, that they can get information on different things that the community offers for our citizens. So I think that overall, Jefferson County gives that small town feel where, you know, like if you need to go borrow a cup of sugar from your neighbor kind of thing, I feel like overall, that's the kind of vibe that the county gives off. When we have a crisis or anything like that that happens, I feel like our community does a really great job of banding together to support one another.
Well, Sabria, if you're elected, what changes would you like to see?
If I'm elected, I'd like to see our roadways become safer and more efficient throughout the county. I think that that's a huge problem right now, especially with increasing traffic that's coming from all over the state through our county. I also would like to see us take a look at a county level to band with other counties to possibly repeal the mandatory growth rule, which requires the cities and towns to grow, whether that they want it or not. I feel very strongly that the people that are living in these towns and cities should be able to decide what happens in their own town and city. If they want growth, great. If they don't want growth, great. You should be able to decide that being in your local area. I also would like to see more increased mental health for our citizens. Oftentimes here in Jefferson County, it seems like folks have to wait until they're kind of at their last little end of the rope before they can get help. You know, they have to be far down into drug addiction or alcoholism before they can really get solid help in our county. And I'd like to see that change. I'd like to see more outreach for the youth in the county to be able to have access to mental health and counselors and things like that, because I think that a lot of these drug and alcohol addictions and problems that we see in the community that leads to homelessness starts when they're young. And I think that the lack of having mental health resources for the youth is increasing that problem.
Kelly, same question for you. If elected, what changes would you like to see?
Changes. Well, you know, my number one job as county commissioner, number one is my fiduciary duty. And fiduciary to me means balancing your budget or making sure that services are provided at the best cost value that you can do. We're going to be facing some very tough times here ahead. The cost of wages for those services to be provided. So, you know, trying to find a way to continue to offer the services that we do in the most economic way and retain the good staff that we have. I mean, we have a great staff from top of the alphabet to the bottom of the alphabet on the staff list. And that's probably my biggest concern now. Changes, obviously, I want to see more local control from our state. I would like to be heard when I speak in Salem by our legislators on this east side and in the rural counties, even on the west side. They hear us and they face many of the same issues. But when you get into that microcosm of Salem, our voices they're overwhelmed. So I'd like to see some neutrality to the state, that's for sure. That will help us with our issues as we fight as rural Oregonians, whether you're east or west. But those are some of the changes I'd like to see. I don't know I know what my role is going to be, that's for sure.
Well, stay with that subject a little bit. How can rural communities like Jefferson County have a larger voice at the state level?
Well, I tell you what, we have a strong county association for Eastern Oregon, in which the commissioners of Eastern Oregon participate. Like I said, we don't have the same exact issues, but we all want the same outcome. And the nice thing about our Eastern Oregon Association of Counties is we're a band of community that want good outcomes for our rural lifestyles, our cultures, our traditions, our heritage. And so it makes it really easy when you've got quite a few folks with you on your stand. I know many a times I write letters against legislation. I'll give you an example. BLM is looking to purchase a lot of land along the John Day River banks basically from the Columbia down to Mitchell. A little bit of it's in my county, a lot of it's not. And in support of those folks in those other counties, that's just the kind of thing that we do as Eastern Oregon elected officials in sticking together. And so I think I'll just leave it at that. There's got to be a change, a more of a balance in Salem before anybody will be heard. And I think that is coming, and my hope is that that's coming. But it's not for a lack of trying. The Eastern Oregon commissioners as a group are distinctly making a presence in Salem. How we get heard, that's up to the rest of the voters of the state of Oregon.
Sabria, same question for you. What can Jefferson County do to have its voice heard better at the state level?
I think that we band together with other rural counties, like Kelly was saying. I think that it starts with the connections that we already have with other rural counties. And I think that it leads into more of a peaceful non-compliance. When ODOT tells us they're not going to give us money for something, maybe we as citizens gather up and we go to these places and we go talk to these people. And we, even as far as I know that there have been groups of people who over these last couple of years have done things like having barbecues in these people's, more or less front yard outside of their house. I think that if even just in a small sense of getting dollars for our roadways, I think that if we banded together and we had a barbecue outside of one of these people's homes and had every single name of every single person that we've lost in this county, I think that that starts to raise attention and it starts to get us heard in a large way. And just by peacefully doing these things, not yelling or screaming or anything like that, but just peaceful non-compliance. We need to get our voice heard, and we need to do it in a non-conventional way, because clearly the conventional ways of doing things haven't gotten us to where we need to be.
Sabria, what positive and negative changes have you seen in the community since you've lived here?
Some of the negative things that I've seen would be, we used to have a really wonderful event called the Collage of Culture. And from my understanding, there was some money that was not taken care of properly. I'll just leave it at that allowed us to not be able to continue that event, which is very unfortunate. It was something that I know that the community really looked forward to each year. I was something that I grew up going to all the time. Kids, put in artwork, and we had each of the different cultures that were represented here in Jefferson County had programs and shows and allowed the county to really come together. And I would really like to see that come back for our community, especially now during the times that we've had over the last couple of years with like people not being together and the divide that's happened. I think it's really important to bring some of that stuff back. The overall positive things that I've seen are the community wanting to get involved with each other again, like the first Thursday that's happening today. It's something that's positive for our county, where people can get together and really enjoy one another and also support all of our local businesses. So I'd like to see that continue. We need to support our local people in every way that we can, because I think right now more than ever, it's very important to keep our dollars local. So that way we can continue to have all of the people that are living here stay here.
Kelly, same question. What positive and negative changes have you seen in the time you've lived there?
I'd like to have 10 minutes to talk about positives and about 2 seconds to talk about the negatives. In the positive side of the things, I'm going to dote on our county staff. We have tremendous directors at every position. And the folks that work for them, same thing, and doing this good work for the county. So to me, that's a huge positive. Some of the things, just talking, and like I said, I'm born and raised here, so I get this deal. I have emceed, I don't know, over 50, 60 events over the last 5-10 years. This year alone, we've done 3 events that raised over $70,000, literally. To me, that shows your community. That shows the commitment to the projects. And Sabria well understands the importance of our youth. Culver boosters, 70,000. Recently, we did a Madras FFA alumni deal, about 56,000 bucks. So it shows the commitment from this community to make it a better place. On the negative side, the COVID has brought out angriness in people, and this keyboard, being able to say what you want without consequence. I wish that our community, and it's not just here, in fact, it's a lot better here than it is a lot of other places, but we need healing. We need to hear each other's voices and respect everybody's opinion, and that's the one negative, and it's not just Jefferson County specific.
Well, Kelly, I'm sure you know Jefferson County has pretty evenly divided demographics between Hispanics and Native Americans and whites. How can the county celebrate this diversity?
Well, that's a good question. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 is really truly what it is. It wasn't quite that way when I was a child. Grew up, obviously, Warm Springs was a big influence. We have great organizations. The Latino organization does great things. And honestly, I don't know how you can force people to mesh. My childhood friends are the same friends that I have today, and across race. We don't see race. We don't see any sex. We don't see any of that. You want to promote cultures, the tribes. I love when they do the opening ceremonies for our seniors on ball game nights. And the people that come from other communities, they're like, wow, that is something that we just don't see, So I don't see it. I live the culture of Jefferson County, whether it be our tribes, whether it be our Latino folks. And we need to celebrate the culture and heritage of Jefferson County in itself as well. So you just promote it every way you can. And that's the simplest way I can answer that.
Sabria, same question. How would you encourage celebrating the diversity of Jefferson County?
I would work on bringing back the collage culture, like I had spoke about during the last question. I think that it was a very big asset to our community in a lot of different ways, not just from youth, but all the way through the adults that got to participate in the different activities, the cultural dancing and things like that. I mean, we had cloggers and we had, Native American flute players. We had, the traditional dances from the Native Americans. We had Hispanic dancing. It was something that rivaled Central Oregon as far as an event. I mean, if you didn't make it to the collage culture, it was like you missed out on a huge part of Jefferson County and Madras as a whole. I remember waking up in the morning and making sure that I got up extra early to watch the balloon launches for the collage culture. And that's something that I think needs to be brought back for our community. It's something that the folks looked forward to every single year and prepared for. The schools did art projects and made sure that the kids had adequate time to submit things and, do different things to be able to showcase. We showcased it at the old junior high at the West Side, and they opened up the entire cafeteria, and it was tons of, pictures and drawings, and you had, first place prizes and different things like that. And it was just wonderful to see the entire community come together during that time and to have that time to really celebrate what we are as a county in the diversity that we have.
Sabria, Jefferson County is a big tourist destination. Is that good for the county? And how do you suggest the county balances the services made available for tourists and to residents?
I think that tourism is good for the county. I think that we don't necessarily thrive. We don't need tourism, whereas places like I feel like Sisters really need that tourist base to kind of for their downtown to thrive and things like that. I think that we're fortunate that a lot of people who live here do utilize a lot of our services that we do have and a lot of our businesses that we do have here. I would like to see more promotion for tourists to go to certain places in our community, whether that's when they're going down to the lake, really utilizing the marina down there and the stores that are offered down there. I would like to see for our county as a whole to create more of a focused, positive way to utilize tourism, whether, that's gearing people towards certain businesses or, just any of the local things that we have versus, not to say that they shouldn't utilize, bigger corporations that are in town too, but like, if you're eating at the Black Bear, you're really putting dollars back into the community versus going through the drive-through at Taco Bell. So that's just my kind of personal take on it. I would really like to see some of those things really promoted and utilized for our county. We have a lot of really great businesses that I think could benefit from proper tourism, but it needs to be organized.
Kelly, how about you? What would you like to do for tourism activity? Do you think there's a need to balance tourism spending as well as resident services?
Balance is the key, Brooke. We're an agriculture community, but we're an agriculture community almost in need of a second job. And I say that in the sense that currently tourism does serve as our second economy, if you will. And as you guys just mentioned, the folks that are supporting our local businesses when they drive through on their way to Sun River, they're just as likely to head to Sun River as they are to our lake. We've got limited space down there at the lake, and our state parks, they try to increase on that recreational opportunities every chance that they get. But we still have a tremendous, like I said, it's an agriculture community. So, you've got to weigh that balance of, hey, not in my backyard. I don't want the extra traffic on my road. That might mean the difference of 2 to 3 million to your county in tourism receipts if you had it. I respect people's property rights and their way of life, which is agriculture. I love to recreate. It's my number one thing in the summer. You'll find me on Lake Billy Chinook almost every day after work, of course. But the businesses here that support that industry, they're always looking for a way, and I encourage that. And I encourage our Chamber of Commerce, which I sit as a board member. I encourage looking for ways to get folks to come here, but go home.
Okay. Kelly, is there anything your opponent mentioned today that you'd like to address?
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
Well, same question to you, Sabria. Anything that your opponent said that you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
All right, well, that brings us to closing remarks. So, Kelly, why don't you go first? You've got 2 minutes for closing remarks.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you guys for putting this together. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to talk to folks. I have thoroughly enjoyed this job. It's in my skill set, my demeanor, and I don't want to sound like me. I'm very proud of the job that I've done for Jefferson County. I get up every morning for the constituents of Jefferson County, and they know where I work, and they know how to reach me on my phone. And in some instances, I'm considered the telephone book because I get phone calls from people. And do you have the such and such number? Yes, I do. And I know I'm not going to know every answer to every issue in this county, but I have really good directors that do, and an administrative team here at the office that absolutely know how to make things happen. I guess you could say I'm the face of the brains of the operation, if you will. But it's been my privilege. I love this job so much. I take a lot of pride in it. I go all over the state touting Jefferson County and our needs. I'll definitely stand in the trenches and fight against things that are oppressive or would negatively affect our county. But the friendships, the things I get to experience as a county commissioner, they rival almost nothing in my life other than my family. And with that said, I just will end it with, it's been a pleasure. I hope folks educate themselves, check out the voters pamphlet. If you still have questions, please call me or hit me up. I'm pretty accessible, and I just want to basically tell the citizens of Jefferson County, thank you for putting me in this position back in 2019. And I really want your vote, and I'm asking for that. And thank you for having this today.
Sabria, now's your opportunity for closing remarks.
I'd like to just thank you guys for allowing us to speak with you today. Like Kelly said, it's nice to be able to, have another outlet to be able to speak with the voters. I'd like to point out that, I've heard from some people that I might not have as much experience as Kelly has, but from my understanding, Kelly has had the experience once he got into the county commissioner position. And if you're never given a chance, you don't ever get that experience unless you're given that opportunity. Overall, the last year on the school board, I feel like I've done a really great job of being a voice for the citizens here in the community of Culver. And I feel like I would do an equally great job being county commissioner. The things that I might not know offhand, I'm willing to do research and educate myself on. I'm a very quick learner, and I pride myself on those two things of being able to do a lot of research very well and being able to learn things quickly. I think that overall, like Kelly said, we need somebody that's willing to get into the trenches. And that's definitely something that I'm willing to do, do whatever it takes to get our county heard and to get dollars here for our citizens, whether it be the roadways, mental health, water for the farmers, anything like that. I think that overall, willing to stand firm and not necessarily do what's easy, but do what's right for our county. Even if it takes a little bit longer, we need to start doing the things that are really going to make a long-term difference for our community. And like Kelly said, I'd appreciate your support. If you want to vote for me, I would really appreciate that. And I won't let you guys down.
Great. Well, Sabria Rios and Kelly Simelink, thanks for participating today. And as a reminder to make sure that everybody's voice matters and vote by May 17th, I'm Brooke Snavely for Central Oregon Daily News on behalf of the candidates, the City Club of Central Oregon and Connect Central Oregon. Thank you for listening.